What if I told you that by listening to your inner child, you could be launching what you love with the seemingly boundless confidence of a 6-year-old in just a short time? That's what I'll be teaching you in this video today. Hi, my name is Jessie Brightly, and on this channel I help to motivate, empower, and educate my fellow offbeat creatives just like you to launch what you love with clarity and confidence. Today we're going to explain what the inner child is. We'll also define developmental emotional trauma and how that impacts our inner child. Then we will demonstrate how that shows up in our lives today, and we'll explore how we can heal from all of this. According to this super helpful video here from the Wu Wei Wisdom YouTube channel, the inner child is the root of who you are. So it's part subconscious, part ego, part everything of who you are. It was developed between the ages of 6 and 9 or younger and a little bit older, and it was the person that you were as a child when you had the irrational, emotional reactions to things versus when you became older and you could logically recognize what you were feeling and why and how. So when you were a child and you were maybe say 6 and something happened to you, and it was either a big trauma such as a death in the family, or if it was a little trauma like you had a bad day at school and you were crying and you couldn't be consoled and your parents just kind of told you get over it. These things added up in your childhood and how you reacted to them and how you were perceived by your parental figures created an inner child within you now as an adult that either needs more love and attention or could use some sort of acknowledgement. And this inner child can react to everyday things that happen now to you in your relationship, in work situations where perhaps you don't receive the best feedback. And instead of rationally reacting to it, your inner child comes up and says, I'm hurt, I'm upset, I feel insecure, I'm going to pout, I'm going to shut down, I'm going to get angry, I'm going to cry, because it was never resolved when you were 6 years old and you had those feelings of neglect or rejection and you reacted emotionally and you didn't get the response of an acknowledging or an understanding parental figure, and so you built up these walls as you went along. That's my personal definition of the inner child and how it's come up in my life. However, like I said, in the Wu Wei Wisdom YouTube channel, they have a very comprehensive definition that I recommend you check out. Developmental emotional trauma are things that happened when we were younger that affect how we either attach to partners or relationships today, or how we react to everyday occurrences. And these things are best explained by Katie Morton. She has a video here, and she's a YouTuber who's a psychotherapist, and I really like how she explains the big T's and the little T's, or big traumas and little traumas. And so a big trauma, like I said before, a death in the family, or a little trauma such as having a bad day at school and not being heard by your parental figure. And if those little T's happen all the time, they add up to this serious feeling of not being valued, of not being heard, of not being understood, of not being important enough to express your emotions. And you can have a whole host of developmental issues or attachment issues that come along with that. And so when these developmental emotional traumas occur and they happen in your obviously developmental years, you can build up a wall. You can build up a system of rejecting others, of pushing them away, of replacing them with substances, with all kinds of things that are not healthy. And so it's very important to look back and recognize what these big T's and little t's were. And she has a very good point of acknowledging with your adult brain how your child brain reacted to them. Because it is very easy now as an adult for me to say, you know, your parents were busy. They were working. They saw a screaming child who was upset for a very nominal reason. And of course they said, just stop crying. But my 6-year-old self didn't see any of that. My 6-year-old self saw that I was very upset and that these two people that were supposed to love and care for me didn't have the time for me. And so I need to look at my inner child with respect and with understanding and with unconditional empathy and say, I understand, and I'm here for you now, and you're feeling alone, and you're feeling sad, and you're feeling unheard, and I'm sorry, but I'm here for you now. And so I think if you check out that Katie Morton YouTube video, it's very helpful in defining that developmental emotional trauma and what the big T's and the little t's are, and how you can look at your childhood to see where your inner child might be struggling. When I talk about the inner child, I know I can get a lot of eye rolls and that's very woo-woo, or yeah, you're not my therapist. But the inner child is very important because things that happen today are heavily linked to your inner child and you may not even realize it. So if you are struggling with feelings of not fitting in, or worry that you are going to fail no matter what, or no one's going to accept you, these can be related to your inner child and what your inner child struggled with as an actual child. And so I really want you to think about what you're struggling with now, and could that be related to what happened in your childhood, whether they were big traumas or little traumas. So if today you're having attachment issues in relationships where you're anxious with your partner or anxious about friendships if you don't receive a text back or something, do you feel these anxiety-ridden or neediness, or I need to be accepted, or no one accepts me, or I'll never make it? If you are feeling anything like this, I strongly urge you to watch the rest of this video and the video that I'll be releasing next week about how to heal our inner child and play with our inner child, because this is super critical to getting past what happened when we were children and recognizing that it wasn't trivial stuff. It was actually very big stuff to our developing hearts and brains. So that's what I want you to know about how this is showing up for you today. And now the most important part, which is beginning the healing process of our inner child. I'm going to link to this video here from Alan Rabarge, and he is also a YouTube psychotherapist. And this video here is a little longer, but if you watch it at like the speed 1.5 or 1.25, you'll get through it a little quicker. But it's very helpful with explaining that your inner child can be healed. And it's pretty simple. It might take a little time for you to work through, but if you take your inner child on imaginary walks, which might seem silly, but stick with it, listen to his video, watch his video, and go through the steps of taking your inner child on a walk. Sit with it and say, hey, how are you feeling today? Oh, you're feeling lonely. You're feeling sad. I get it. I'm sorry that you feel that way. It must be terribly scary. It must be terribly defeating. I'm really sorry you feel that way. And listen to your inner child and do your best not to put that adult brain in action and say, well, just cheer up, kid. That's not going to be beneficial. So do your best to put that adult brain aside and say, I'm here for you. If you want to talk, great. If you still want to put that wall up, that's okay too. I'll still be here. And the more you do this and the more realistic you can be with it, the more you can imagine it in a very visual and tactile space, the more your brain will register it as truly healing. And he does a better job at explaining this as a psychotherapist in the video, so I definitely recommend you check that out. But it is possible to heal. It is not necessarily easy, and so I definitely recommend that you go at your own pace, and if you find it too difficult at any point, seek professional help. I'm not a professional therapist, so take that in mind, but definitely check that video out and know that your inner child is important, and your inner child needs to be heard, and your inner child needs to be seen. And once you start listening to them, and once you start telling them that you're there for them, it's a little tough at the beginning, but great things will start happening. Your confidence will start building. Your joy will start increasing. You'll go back to the silly habits and the silly hobbies that you once loved, and your joy factor will increase like tenfold. I just believe in this so much, and that's why I'm making this video on this. It's not something that I'm trained in. It's not something that I specialize in. It's something that I recently started going through myself. And so it is possible to heal. If you have questions, please, please, please do comment below. Definitely check out all those videos. And I hope that this journey starts on a good foot for you. I have more videos coming out about your inner child. That'll be next week, and it'll be more focused on the healing and the playing with your inner child so that we can get to what our possible purpose in the world could be and what we can do to bring joy back into our lives, because I feel like a lot of us are detached from our inner child, and the more we get in touch with our inner child, the more fun we can have, because I remember having a lot of fun as a 6-year-old. And wouldn't it be great if we could just go back out on a playground right now? I think it'd be great. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that this helped you start your journey to healing your inner child. I've got a free digital download for you available on my website, jessiebrightly.com/digital downloads. Just enter the coupon code YouTube when you check out, and you will get that free to download and start journaling to heal your inner child. If you have any questions, as always, comment below. I'd love it if you'd subscribe and click that little notification button. Again, thank you so much. My name is Jessie Brightly. I hope you have a fantastic week. Cheers to creating.